Hello EquesRAYans and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm actually doing something completely different. I was in talks with my friend Bex over at the Wide Boot Company just about the kind of lack of inclusive clothing and thoughtful design within the equestrian clothing industry and stuff, and Bex had the idea to turn our little rant, I suppose, into a video. So we got together, asked you guys, like I asked my followers and she asked her followers, what kind of issues you have when you're looking for equestrian clothing, when you go shopping, whatever. And we had a huge response, like you guys did not hold back. And yeah, so we had a lot to talk about, which is why this video is so lengthy. But I don't feel like you need to watch this necessarily. It could easily work as like a podcast kind of situation, because we're just doing like a little sit down and chat. So if you haven't really got the time to sit down and watch an hour-long video, why not just pop it on in your AirPods if you're fancy like that while you're riding and just have a little listen. We've discussed a lot of topics here that we think are really important, and we would love for equestrian brands to take these things into consideration. So it would really mean a lot to us if you could like, comment, share, and just spread the love of this post. We would love to raise more awareness of these issues because it is clearly something a lot of people are struggling with, and I don't feel like anyone has sort of spoke up about it yet. So we're hoping to make a change maybe in the equestrian clothing industry by talking about this. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and without further ado, let's get into this Zoom call. Hello, my love.
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. And yourself?
Yes, not bad.
Very good. So
yes.
Would you like to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and about the company?
Yeah, so my name's Bex and I run the Wide Boot Company, and I actually started the company up last year in August because I got so fed up of trying to find boots to fit me, and every year it was the same. I would every couple of years I would order a new pair of boots in the same style, the same company I always bought them from. And then last year when I ordered them, they changed the sizing and they just would not zip up. So I looked into lots of different options, went around Badminton Horse Trials shopping village with my friends. There was literally nothing that would fit me. And I mean, I'm a size 16. I'm not, particularly large, but I just thought this is ridiculous. Every year this is getting more of a problem when I want to buy boots. So I decided to do something about it, which was to make some of my own designs, try and get some feedback from curvier riders or more muscular build people to work out those designs and how they were going to function. And kind of launched it just before Christmas last year, and in January I went to the Beta Equine trade fair and I won an award for the design innovation there. So wow. I was really, really pleased with that.
That's amazing.
So that's the kind of shortened version of how it all went along.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so myself and Bex, we were having a little bit of a chat really about the topic that we're going to discuss today. And we decided to put this little video together. And with your help, we both went away and asked our followers what kind of little niggles you have about equestrian riding gear, basically, whether it's boots or jackets or whatever it is, whatever you guys struggled with, so that we could kind of encompass everything into this video and discuss how the equestrian clothing industry could be a bit more inclusive. But we actually had a really, really big response. I think you had about 150 comments on your post, Bex, something like that. And I had a lot on my Instagram story and stuff. So this is a real problem. There's a lot of issues that we've written down here today to discuss that actually, it's not just like one person has said, I struggle with this issue. I've seen multiple people commenting on similar issues. Did you have the same sort of thing with yours?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was the same comments over and over again, a real frustrated vibe as well. People are really, I found my people, I found it's not
like,
just
I'm not
me.
alone. Yeah.
Yeah, because it really does make you feel that it is you, just you, when you go into these tack shops and everything is displayed on very small models and dummies, and you get things out off the rail, and it's like, oh great, that's never going to fit me.
Yeah.
It does make you feel quite ousted from the equestrian world. So I think it's been really nice for me personally to see how many other people out there are like me that do struggle, and I'm not even necessarily in the plus size category, but just clothing is not cut for certain shapes, so it'd be good to address that.
Well, even like we were discussing about, we will talk about it in more depth, but how muscular most equestrians are, and therefore the cut of a lot of boots don't suit many riders as well, because your calf muscles are going to be bigger when you're working them more. Yeah, those are quite a few issues like that. Like, it's not just for the plus size riders that struggle. There are a lot of people who are perhaps bustier, or like you say, the big calves and everything. And everyone is a different shape. Some people are taller, some people are shorter. So there are all these different things that we're going to discuss today. Yeah,
definitely. And, even things like arm muscles. If you ride particularly strong horses, or you do a lot of lifting, you're generally going to be bigger across your shoulders and upper arm, and so many companies don't seem to take that into account with the cut of their jackets and tops.
So we're going to kind of go through some of the topics that people wanted us to sort of talk about. So the first thing that came up quite a lot is the fact that a lot of equestrian brands would class a size 16 as an extra large or an extra extra large, when in fact a size 16 is actually the UK national average, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean it's even worse than that, because some of them will call a size 14 an XXL.
Yeah.
I mean, that does not make you feel good when you're trying to shop for things.
Definitely. So, I think a lot of the time they use smaller models too, so it's hard for you to kind of grasp how an item is going to look on you. I know sometimes they will say like model wears a size 8, but that doesn't help someone who is more curvy or plus size or shorter or whatever to see how that would fit them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these companies are really missing a trick, because actually I've gone through some of my old riding clothes today just to look at the fit of things, and I actually realized how few riding clothes I have now, because I just don't bother even trying to buy things, because I just think, what's the point? It will turn up, it won't be the size that's stated, or the terrible fit. I just don't have a lot of riding clothes anymore for that reason. So it is difficult, and it's very annoying actually.
Yeah, I was very much the same at the start of this year, and then I decided to kind of make a stand and start my try-on videos, and I'm obviously I'm not the most confident with that kind of thing, but the response I had from that, with people just saying thank you, it's so nice and refreshing to see these clothes on a curvier, more plus size rider, so that I can get an idea of how it's going to fit me. So I do now have quite a few equestrian clothes, luckily, but it's taken some digging to find places that will offer clothes to fit, and some of them do have issues. I'm very honest with my reviews as well. Even if I'm reviewing something that someone sent to me, I owe it to my followers to do a decent review. And this is another thing, it's a completely separate topic, but I do think there's issues within that realm of things where equestrians are trying out things and bigging them up because they've been sent stuff, when sometimes they need to be a bit more brutal, because I want equestrian brands to want to improve. You should want to take feedback from people, so that that's how you build more of a rapport and get more people interested in your products, by being more inclusive and taking on critique from people.
100%, because there's no point trying something on and hiding a bit on the camera that is well, actually, it looks nice at the top, but it's way too short, and as soon as I start riding, it rides up into my waist and sits there, and the bottom of my belly's hanging out underneath the top because it's just sat in the wrong place, and you can get away with that on a photo and say, oh yeah, it does fit, but actually I don't want to get a review from somebody and then find actually when I do buy it myself, it doesn't actually do what it says on the tin, if you see what I mean. So
definitely.
I definitely agree with that. And, you know, I do want to see pictures of models wearing things that are my size, because I want to know how it hangs. Are my boobs going to fit in it? You know, are my hips going to be squashed in? You know, am I going to have to leave the bottom unzipped because it won't go all the way over my hips? You know, it's just things like that. Darted vents at the back of jackets where, you know, some of them have poppers to shut them so you can, you know, make it a bit wider at the bottom. It's like, but actually I don't necessarily want to be wearing it with it gaping open like that. So, you know, you really want to see it on somebody that is a size 16 or 18 or, you know, bigger, whatever. But, you know, there's no point looking at something on a size 8 when you're our size, you know. So
another thing that did come up with that, and I think you've had this with your comments as well, was that it will state that it's a 16, but it actually comes up more like a 14. So a lot of sizes are actually smaller than what they're advertised at as well. That seemed to be quite a common problem in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, it's quite commonly known with a lot of Chinese manufacturing, and you know, and a lot of riding companies do source their gear from China, and generally the sizing does come up small. But then that doesn't mean to say that the companies over here in the UK or America or wherever can't actually, you know, do their size charts appropriately for those, rather than just going by what the Chinese manufacturer says is a 14 when actually it's not. It's more like a 12. So, you know, I think some brands really need to address their size charts and, you know, just make them a bit more honest.
Well, some websites, I had to do some digging to find clothes that would actually fit me, and I found it hard sometimes on some websites just to find a size guide. So this is another thing, like some of them just don't seem to have one at all. Yeah,
and when an XXL can actually be a size 14 in some brands.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's no point me ordering an XXL and thinking, yeah, that's definitely going to fit, because there's quite a good possibility it won't.
Well, that's it. From personal experience, I'm scared to order anything that is an XXL for that reason, if there's no size chart available.
Yeah, I mean, really, you know, chest measurements and in inches or centimeters, and that, you know, that is the true way to test the fit.
That is the only way that you will know, because you can measure yourself at home. So it is, you definitely need to have the proper measurements, I think, available for people.
Yeah, definitely. So the next common topic that came up, well, that I've noticed particularly as somebody who designs and gets involved in the manufacturing of things, I think a lot of clothing brands in particular, they might offer a larger size. So they might offer a 16 or an 18 in something, but actually all they've done is taken their measurements from their average size, which is maybe like a 10 or a 12, and they've just added centimeters onto it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, the shape is wrong, you know, for a lot of us. If I buy a top, I mean, this top I'm wearing actually is one of my favourites, and this is, I think it's from Crew Clothing, so it's just a high street brand. But what I like about it is this is a size 16, but they've cut from here to here is a nice roomy space for me to move comfortably without feeling like it's like stuck up right underneath my armpit. I think that's a problem a lot of us have, and also that it's not like a really short sleeve that is unflattering and digs in halfway across your bicep, because that is also a problem with a lot of tops that I've tried on in the past,
especially polo shirts, I've found.
And you know, actually I think if companies are genuinely going to try and dress people of a larger size, they really need to think more about the shaping of things, rather than just going, okay, well, you know, a size 18 is, you know, 10 centimeters more than a size 12 in that area, and they just size it up in that way. But it doesn't really work like that with a lot of ladies' bodies, because once you start getting into those larger sizes, quite often people are busty, or have a narrow waist but big hips. You know, you've got to kind of accommodate that.
Yeah. And obviously bigger arms, and it is difficult. There is a lot to take into consideration, isn't there? And that's why it's nice to have you from a manufacturing point of view as well, to talk about that side of things.
Yeah, and you know, you can never fit every person. You know, we are all different, but there is just a massive lack of, you know, choice in the larger sizes. So, you know, we're not saying every single brand should have every single size. It's just not feasible to do that. But you know, it would be nice if some of the larger brands did maybe listen to what we're talking about today and think, yeah, you know, maybe we should bring in a couple of extra sizes, or you know, a curvy range or something, you know, that addresses those issues.
Yeah, because like the fashion industry has taken a huge leap with things like that, with, you know, more plus size models being shown and more variety in clothes and things coming into high street brands and stuff like that. And I feel like the equestrian industry is really lagging behind, you know, in terms of like their marketing as well, not showing plus size models or even smaller models. You know, a lot of brands won't even go smaller than a size 8. So there's even that scale of things where people who are more like size 4 or 6 struggle as well. So
I've actually had quite a few people ask me if I'm going to do narrow boots, because they have the same problem that like, you know, people that need a wider fit, they can't find boots that are narrow enough for them, and they just gape open, and you know, bits of shavings fall down the side of them when you're mucking out and stuff like that. So, you know, the big companies are only catering for the medium in the middle section, which is great for them but not great for the rest of us.
But then is that like I suppose that's cost effective?
Yeah, it is. I mean, going into the manufacturing side of things, a lot of the companies will actually buy in bulk, in, you know, ranges that are actually pre-made by other companies, and then they will rebrand them with their own logos. So that works fine if you're catering to the average size. That is where it starts to get a little bit more expensive and difficult as a manufacturer that is looking to a bit more of a niche market, because, you know, with my boots, every boot that I have designed is totally of my own design. My manufacturer has to then make that into a new pattern for every shoe size as well. All of that has to be addressed. It's not, you know, it's not a cheap process to do. And I know we both had a few comments about the cost of clothes in larger sizes. It is a bit of a difficult one, you know, because you aren't in the regular fit that they churn out hundreds of. And like I say, you can brand, you are looking at a tailored specific template for each of those items. So it, unfortunately, you know, that does take time and cost to do that. But I'd like to think, you know, I found most of my customers are happy with my pricing because I've tried to keep it fair, but also, you know, I am giving them something that genuinely fits them, rather than them having to just pick, you know, the only option that might fit them. You know, I'm trying to give them an option of various styles that are actually flattering and nice, rather than oh, it will do because I can zip it up.
I know what you mean. Or it's like baggy at the ankle or whatever. Yeah,
you know, and we all want to look nice, don't we? I mean, you know, especially when you're out competing, it can be difficult as a larger rider anyway, dealing with people looking at you, and the last thing you want is to be riding along feeling like your bust is popping out the front of your jacket because it is just a bit too tight there, or you know, or your boots just don't look very nice because they're very obviously plus size ranged and they're not designed in a slimming way to, you know, we all want to fit in, don't we, when we're out competing. And
like, you want that overall picture of, like, you want the judge to look at you and think, oh wow, what a lovely picture you and your horse are together.
Yeah, exactly, rather than, oh, you know, they've like wrestled themselves into their britches this morning and you know. And you know, the thing with riding is a lot of the rules and regulations with what we have to wear is quite strict. So you know, you can't just go to another high street shop and buy, you know, a shirt or whatever to wear, or a jacket, because it needs to look a certain way for a lot of competitions and things. So it would really be nice if more companies would give us options to choose from for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and like we've said, stopping at the UK national average is a bit unfair, really, I suppose. You know, and especially when you take things into consideration, like I've just had a baby, so I'm obviously going to be carrying that extra bit of baby weight and stuff. So there will be people who perhaps were within that range where they could fit into clothes nicely, and they'll have some kind of life change. Horses are dangerous, you can fall off, have an injury, pile the weight on, you know. So there's all
illnesses.
Exactly. Not everyone is going to be the UK national average or under all the time. Women especially fluctuate so much, you know.
Yeah, and also the other thing is, I think, you know, a lot of people don't even ride. You know, a lot of horse people that keep horses don't necessarily ride them. They might carriage drive, they might in-hand show. And again, they still want nice clothing that fits in for them to be able to do that. So even if you are going to argue the whole weight point of riding and whatever, you know, as long as you're the right size for your horse, or you're doing something with your horse that, you know, if you're taking it out in hand showing, great, you want to look nice, don't you?
Yeah,
so
100%.
It's a shame people that fall into that category have so little choice.
Yeah, and I think companies may argue that there's not like a market for it, but we've obviously discovered through getting all these comments that there definitely is. But I think people have been either scared to talk about it, or they've kind of just accepted their fate because it's been like this for so long and no one's spoken about it, which is why it's great to sort of raise this topic of conversation now. Like I say, with the fashion industry starting to make a change and including models of all sorts of shapes and sizes and ethnicities and disabilities or whatever, you know, there's a lack of representation on all those kind of things in the equestrian community. So yeah, I think it is time for a change.
And I think, you know, we probably follow a few of the same Facebook groups and things and everything that's been going on with Black Lives Matter. And I've noticed, you know, some of the people that have put their head over the parapet talking about that, who are black or, you know, other ethnicities, have just said it makes them feel so amazing when they see a catalogue from a shop that does include them, you know, and that's definitely something that I want to do with my brochures and advertising, that I do want to cater for everybody, because as we've already discussed, there's no point just having size 8 to 10 blonde, brunette, you know, we're all different, and that is really generally what you see in magazines. And so I mean, there's people riding around the world that are all different colours and shapes, so let's try and help those people.
And we should celebrate that, you know. What a wonderful thing that this sport is incorporated into so many different places around the world, you know, that it's so universal like that. It should be celebrated. Yeah,
definitely. And, you know, at the end of the day, we all love horses, you know, that's the one thing that brings us all together. So, you know, it would just be nice if it was a bit more of an even playing field.
Yeah, 100%.
Certainly regarding clothing.
So obviously riding is a sport, and with sport you are developing muscles, and we as riders, we work different muscles to what you would work doing other sporting activities. And I don't think equestrian brands necessarily take that into account, even though that is what they tailor for. So like we've sort of briefly discussed with the whole boot situation, how your calf muscles are so much bigger normally, you know, when you are a rider. So what's your sort of thoughts on that? Because you kind of deal with that side of things.
Yeah, so you would be amazed the amount of people that ring me up asking about sizing, and they say, I'm a size 12, I can't get boots. I've had so many emails where people have said, I'm so glad I found your company. My husband offered to buy me boots for my birthday. We went to the local TACKSHOP. I was really excited, and I cried on the way home. You know, people cry quite a lot about riding boots because it makes you feel absolutely rubbish. And, you know, particularly if you are like only a size 12, I mean, that is not a big size, and you come out empty-handed because nothing will fit you. You know, I mean, I used to do triathlon and personal training and stuff when I was in my 20s, and I still rode. And I used to struggle to get boots back then. You know, cycling, running, any of these sports, and a lot of people that are equestrians do cycle and run as part of their training, you know, and if you are a particular build, I mean, you know, going into the technicalities of it, you've got endomorphs, ectomorphs, all these are different body shapes. And I'll never forget going into my personal training class for my exams, and the guy that was teaching us, he was like, oh yeah, Bex, you're an endomorph. And it made me feel awful because everyone else in the class was an ectomorph, which is like a nice slim build. And he's like, so your natural sport would be something like shot put or weights. And I was like, great, you know, I'm here starving myself trying to get weight off because I've got a race coming up and I'm trying really hard. Nobody believes me that I'm sticking to this diet because I'm not changing shape quickly enough. So they're like, oh, you must be cheating on it. It's like, no, I'm genuinely not cheating. I was doing hours and hours of exercise, but at the end of the day, I am the shape I am. I've always been that shape. You know, I'm always going to have big calf muscles. It doesn't matter how much I train or lose weight, I'm that build. You know, and there are countless other people out there that are in exactly the same boat. And unfortunately, most of the equestrian brands cater for a very athletic, slimline, you know, sort of more slender shape, which isn't a lot of us.
Yeah. I guess I kind of understand it from like a competition point of view, because a lot of those riders are sort of that shape, I guess. But when you're looking at normal function wear for people, we do come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, like you say. So that I do think there's a lack of variety there for the everyday person. But
it's sad when people that are a size 12 are saying they can't get stuff to fit them. You know, that really kind of drives home the point of how lacking a lot of these other brands are.
Yeah, and like you've said about shoulders as well, like when you have a particular posture when you're riding, and the way you hold yourself will build those shoulders. I used to swim a lot when I was younger, so I've naturally got broad shoulders anyway, so yeah. I get that problem with jackets and tops and stuff, that they don't fit me well on my shoulders and the top of my arms. So there's that side of it as well. And another thing that came up with boots that my followers mentioned, I don't know if you got this as well, but like you only really get an increase in calf size if you've got a bigger foot size. So yeah. I'm kind of lucky in that respect, because I'm a size 8 or 9 in shoes, so I'm in a better position to find a wide calf boot that will fit. But if you're a size 5 and you have calves the size of mine, then you're really going to struggle to just go into a shop and pick up a pair of boots that will fit.
Yeah, and it's the height issue, you know, like I've addressed that with mine, that you know, we want people to be able to have a boot that's short enough for them. I did a lot of sizing surveys when I set the company up, and you know, there are definite body types. You know, there's people that are shorter and, you know, if you want to say dumpier, but they're that sort of slightly more
apple shape,
round shape. Yeah, and they're not going to be 6 foot tall with a long calf, so there's no point giving them, even if the shoe size is smaller, they want the shorter leg, and also the muscle area in their leg is going to sit slightly differently to somebody who's maybe 5'6" like me or taller. So I've tried to really address those points in, you know, how I've done my sizing, and I've really listened to everybody that's filled in my surveys and tried to do averages across the feedback on that.
Yeah.
And I wish more places would do that, because I think then they'd get a bit more of a true reflection of what people need.
Yeah, 100%.
I think another thing as well that came up a lot was about top length. If you've got boobs, a lot of these tops are too short. It's like rising up, and by the time it hits your waistband, it's no good. And then obviously you've got people that are a bit shorter that are finding that the sleeves on things are massively long, or the legs on breeches or riding tights are like hanging off the end of your feet because they're just so long.
Or they bunch up under your boots because you have to pull them up, kind of thing. Yeah, I have that problem.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 5'7" and I'm busty, and I get that problem with tops riding up and usually coming up too short on me. And another thing that I've found I suffer with as well is my neck on shirts. I've, like you, I have taken some pictures and I've tried on some of my show clothes and stuff. And actually the neck on the collars, especially with like dressage shirts that have to be done up, I've found is an issue for me as well, because it seems like even though you're going up in size in a shirt, it's not necessarily doing up around the neck. So that was another thing that I noticed, fit-wise.
And hey, we all want to trot down the centre line feeling like we're being strangled. That's
exactly.
Really give you an amazing performance.
As if your crippling anxiety about just remembering your test isn't bad enough.
Yeah.
Where am I going?
Yeah, and you know, it's the same thing with the jackets. When you've got it tight around your arms, it's just so uncomfortable.
Well,
and if your horse does
ride.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, jumping, even worse. Like if you're jumping in a proper jacket, it's so uncomfortable if you don't have that flexibility to give your arms forward. And something else somebody else raised was that they have to buy about a size 20, even though they're about a size 14 or 16, to get the top part of the jacket right, but then it looks like a shapeless sack on them because the waist isn't cutting in the right place for them, or as per my picture that I sent you with my navy jacket, you end up with a big V shape at the back of your bottom where your breeches flash through, because it's not designed to cover somebody with as big a hips and bum as mine. But it fits me quite nicely around my waist.
So I'm lucky that it fits me. Like, I've got a picture as well, like the silhouette of me is fine, but it's so tight across my chest. I feel
and it's not comfortable. It's really not comfortable. And a lot of these competitions that we do when we're not all on lockdown and not competing, but a lot of the time we're competing in the hot sun in the summer, and it's even worse when you're wearing something tight and uncomfortable.
And if you're uncomfortable and unhappy, you're not going to give your best show. Your horse isn't going to go to the best of its ability, because you're not, if you're not comfortable, your horse isn't going to be comfortable either.
No, exactly.
So we were also talking a little bit about men's clothing.
I've got a friend of mine. He runs a hawking, like a horseback. They take the hawks out on horseback and do displays, and cool. He's always moaning that he can't get nice men's clothes at good prices. So few brands that do men's clothes that the ones that do jack the pricing right up. Yes, I get it in some ways, as we've spoken about already. It's slightly different patterns and fits, and a smaller market. There aren't as many men who ride, but again, they still need clothing.
But then perhaps more men would ride if they saw other people wearing riding gear and stuff, that if they had somewhere to get riding gear from, then they would know that they could do it. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing with people who are over a size 16, like women who are over a size 16. Yeah, you can still ride, but if you don't necessarily see other people doing it and see clothing by brands that would fit you, then you're probably going to think, well, it's not for me, or I can't do it,
Yeah, it's that kind of excluding thing, isn't it? And probably quite a few of us have had boyfriends or husbands or whatever that have been like, oh, I'll have a go, they get a bit brave one day and say, can they have a ride on your horse? But then they never really seem to generally take it much more than that. Again, because I think quite often they can't get the stuff, or it's expensive for them to buy boots because they can't get them in the sizes they want.
It's quite funny, really, because in terms of the sport, there are a lot of men riding, probably equally as many as there is women, if not more. So there definitely is, there are male riders out there. I wonder if perhaps male riders just don't put themselves out there as much on social media and stuff, like the everyday kind of riders. Perhaps that's why people don't think there's a market for it.
There's quite a few guys that do dressage, but again, then a lot of the brands are catering to the very slim, tall, 6 foot plus, and not every guy that does dressage fits that demographic. Obviously there's a lot of men who race international hunt and stuff. Again, the sizing, they're going to be probably quite specialist suppliers that they're going for their sort of stuff. But there's a lot of people that happy hat go out, do low level competition, and where are they meant to get their stuff to wear? It is tricky. But I'm bringing out some men's sizes as well, because I have had quite a few men contact me saying, can I go up to like a size 12 or 13 UK size? So that is something that will be coming out soon to address that.
That's ace.
And there's actually a lot of ladies that go up into bigger sizes, especially in the US and Canada. There's quite a few ladies over there that have asked me for bigger foot sizes as well, because I think they're just taller in general. So they tend to have bigger feet. So,
well, like I said to you, I'm a size 9, so I get that. If you go to tack shops and try and buy boots, do they have many in your size that would, or do you have to go for a men's boot if you're? Probably have to go for a men's boot.
Yeah.
Because I'm wide-footed as well, you see, so I've also got to take that into consideration. So I'm like a size 8 shoe size normally, but for boots I tend to go up a size to cater for that.
Yeah.
They seem to be, in general, I've noticed, just quite narrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a tricky one because they do tend to manufacture the sole sizes in particular moulds. So unless you specify an extra wide fit boot, I mean, certainly next year I'm going to look into a wider foot boot, but it probably will be a short boot with a gaiter. Because, you know, again, it's just the cost of keeping stock. You cannot feasibly please every single person out there. And obviously the wider foot is a bit more of a specialist thing. But you know, I hope to be able to help people at least have a really nice pair of smart gaiters and short boots that would look good enough to go and compete in a showroom, whatever. So
oh, you are amazing.
Do try.
Okay, so one of the things that does come up as well, that did come up in the comments, was how expensive everything is. But expensive is a relative term. So obviously with your experience from the manufacturing side of things, would you like to kind of explain that side of things to the people watching?
It's difficult because you're catering to a smaller demographic of people. So there's less people that are going to buy your product effectively. So not only that, you're having to design everything from scratch because it's not the sort of stuff that's readily available from other sports brand manufacturers. You know, I mean, because a lot of the technical tops and stuff that we wear for riding are equally as used for running or cycling, or, you know, they're multi-purpose tops. But again, in those kind of athletic manufacturing sizes, they are generally stopping at like a size 14 to 16. You know, there's a couple of fitness brands that maybe go to larger sizes, but then again, they're probably like me and a specialized brand that cater more towards that sort of size person. So because you can't just ring around a load of manufacturers abroad and say, okay, what have you got in a technical top in a blue and a lilac, they're not going to have that sat there in stock ready for you to just buy and have printed with your logo or whatever. You know, it just doesn't work like that. So everything has to be measured. So every time you're designing something for sort of like a different size, it needs to be I mean, you need to do surveys or whatever to try and work out the sizing in the first place. And then you've got to design it all, and then you've got to have your samples made. Your samples might turn up and your manufacturer maybe hasn't made stuff in that size before because it's not a common thing. I mean, when I sent my boot diagrams over for my first pair of boots to be made, they actually messaged me back and they said, is this correct? Because these sizes don't seem right. They seem very big on the top. And I'm like, yeah, you know, that's what I want. And they were very kind of confused by it all at first because no one's ever asked them to do that before. And they've been used to making riding boots for the general regular sizes. So, you know, it takes them longer to get their head around making a pattern for you. And then that pattern might need changing a few times before you get it right. So I'm actually going to start getting some clothing samples put together soon to address some of the things that we've spoken about today. And when I do those measurements and get that sample back, it could be that I put it on and they've still done a small armhole, or it might gape in the wrong place because it's just not a shape that they're used to cutting the fabric for and designing for. Although I kind of design a lot of it myself, it still means that their team has to, you know, get it ready for their factory processes. So there is quite a lot that can go wrong, and that can add to the cost because every time that they've got to redo another sample, it takes more time. You know, it's an expensive process. So that is possibly why some of you that are looking at larger sizes are finding it's very expensive. Unfortunately, there's not really a way around that unless more people, you know, more companies start offering them and the suppliers have those templates in stock for larger sizes.
And they can see there's a demand for it, kind of thing.
And then they'll reuse their templates or use them as a basis to, you know, tweak them slightly for a new collection or something. But, you know, a lot of places just don't have those templates in the first place at the moment. You're working with them from scratch to get it right, and that costs.
So there you go, any brands listening, we would like these manufacturers to start getting these templates together so that we can hopefully have a bit more variety for everyone to enjoy. I mean, I find it particularly upsetting that I can't get matchy stuff that matches Pepper's matchy outfits, you know, because that's just something that brings me joy, you know. I never had a pony when I was growing up, even though I really wanted one, so I kind of say that I take it out on my poor horse now. That, like, I dress her up and all that now to make up for lost time kind of thing. And it does kind of make me a bit like, oh, but I can't just get involved and have nice matchy outfits for, like, to go with her as well. So everyone wants to look and feel good.
Yeah, those of us that own horses spend a hell of a lot of money on keeping them nice. You know, we feed them the right stuff, we get their backs done, we get their teeth done. The final bit of the picture that's the fun bit is being able to, you know, go to our clinics and lessons and feel like, oh, you know, we are looking good today, we've put our matching stuff on. And yeah, you know, I totally get it. And it's a shame that you feel excluded from that because the brands that, you know, you might like for your horse's equipment won't cater for you as well. It's, you know, it's wrong, really.
And I know there's a lot of people who follow me, mostly because I do put myself out there as a plus size rider, and they're seeing that and they're saying, you know, thank you for sharing your journey, because now I feel like I can share mine, or, you know, it's helpful that you're sharing clothes that fit a more plus size or curvier figure so that I can see how it would suit me and stuff.
It's a scary place to step into, though, because, you know, I'm sure any of us who are a slightly larger size rider have at some point been fat shamed in photos or whatever. It's really horrible, it's unnecessary. You know, if my vet's happy, the lady that does my horse's back is happy, it's fine, you know. And at the end of the day, it is a horrible place to come out into and talk about, because the equestrian world, as we know, can be very judgmental.
I do get that there needs to be a limit. There needs to be, you know, but like you say, it's the professionals that will tell you that, not an internet professional.
Exactly.
My horse has never been, you know, lame or sorry in her life, and I'm sure if I was causing her any issues that she would be, you know, so you should let me know.
Yeah, and it's a shame that, you know, people feel like they can't post their pictures up, or, you know, and there are larger riders out there competing at quite high levels, and especially showing, you know, you go to the heavyweight hunter classes and things, they're not going to be small people riding them. You know?
Well, the class is designed to show a horse that's capable of carrying 14 plus stone. So, you know, the judge kind of almost wants to see that to show that they have got the bone and the capability to do that.
Yeah. And those people need clothing as well, so...
Well, a lot of men are not going to come up, you know, less than 15 stone probably, because they're just generally tend to be a bit taller and built more than women, you know. And I think another reason why you don't see many male riders is because at riding schools, a lot of the limits are 14 stone now, and a lot of men surpass that. But, you know, little Welsh section B's and C's used to carry grown men into the coal pits years and years and years ago. So horses are a lot more, you know, they're a lot more robust than people let them out to be, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, nobody's going to condone people riding ponies that are way too small for them, but yeah, it gets to a point. It's tricky, especially if you're a beginner. I found it difficult trying to find horse shares in the past because people put weight limits on. But those of my friends that see me ride will happily let me ride their horses because they know that I'm balanced and I'm a decent rider. So
that's it. There is a lot to take into consideration.
Yeah, it is difficult, isn't it? If you're learning and you are heavier, you're going to be banging around on that horse's back, unfortunately. So yeah, I get why the riding schools do have these limits, but it's excluding people as well.
So I have recently, I was doing a lot of research for my sort of try-on videos, and I did come across one brand that I was looking at all their different products and stuff on the website, and for one product it might have been an extra large and a size 16, and then somewhere else on the website it was an extra large and a 20. It's not like a stockist where they're supplying different brands and selling them. It is all under one brand, which that I've never actually seen that before, but that's so confusing, because if you were to click on one item and see that an extra large is a 20 and then think, oh, I've seen this that would go nice with it, or that I like as well, I'll just order the extra large and it should, you know, it should be all right for me.
Should be fine.
It's not fine.
No. Oh, yes, the sadness of packaging things up to send them back.
Yeah. But one brand that I would like to highlight actually is Flexers, because what I loved about their branding was the fact that one of the main sort of advertising images that I see for them, they have like a size 4 model and a size 22 model in their Flexers and everything in between. So you can see how they fit the different shapes and sizes. And I think that's amazing, you know. There needs to be more of that, in my opinion.
That was what totally attracted me to their products in the first place, because I kept seeing it pop up on Facebook and I was like, oh, she looks like me. They fit her. I'm like, actually, I could confidently order those and think they're going to work, you know? I think it's quite easy to find riding tights for casual wear, but it's very hard to find competition wear. So, yeah, big shout out to Flexers for doing the nice beige coloured ones and white ones for dressage and competitions, because that is, again, the worst thing, having breeches that cut into your waist and are so uncomfortable that you just save for competition days, and that's it, because they're so uncomfortable as well. So yes, it's lovely to have ones that you can just put on and think, oh, they look the job and they are so comfortable.
Hats off Flexers.
And there's a couple of other brands I think I've noticed. I haven't necessarily tried them myself, but Equitech seem to be a brand that offer a bit more of a sizing range, which is nice. And they seem to feature a few larger models as well when I have a look on their website. So well done to them.
And I've recently tried Noble Equestrian as well, and they've come up with some bigger sizes too. I think they actually go up to a 22, I think, so that's quite nice. Another one that I found on Facebook was EquesRAYans, that quite a few people recommended. Have you heard of them?
I've heard of them. I've seen a lot of people recommend them.
But they don't have a website yet, so it's quite hard to kind of get a gauge of what they stock and prices and everything. But there's a few companies out there that are doing things. There just need to be more. Yeah, I agree. And it's not, like we say, it's not just giving bigger sizes, it's taking into account that people who are larger are a different shape to someone who is slimmer. Yeah, I mean, I've added a few bullet points at the end of my list, which were things that I think are the main points. Bust sizes. Mm-hmm. If you're over about a D cup, it's just virtually impossible to find anything that will fit nicely. Arm muscles and shoulders, that is always the tight point on shirts, jackets. Sometimes it's fine with technical stuff that's really stretchy, but again, it quite often cuts in under the arms. Thigh and hip fit, generally, I'm more hourglass shape, so I think I'm a slightly different shape to you, but I find to get something to fit over my bum and thighs, I have to go up sizes, and then the waist is massive, and then I have to wear a clunky belt that is so uncomfortable. Otherwise, every time I bend over, they slide down and I have a builder's bum. Not a good look. Or I'm like constantly hitching them up like this as I walk along because they're sliding down. So yeah, that was another thing that quite a few people commented on. Longer length sleeves and top length. So people don't want their sleeves to end here, and they also want enough length that they can tuck it in, or, you know, it hides any multitude of sins slightly lower down. We've talked about this a lot. Sizing that isn't labelled as triple XL for a size 16 to 18. True to measurement sizing. And the last point, just more thoughtful design. Yeah. So a lot of you guys who do follow me will know that I am an advocate for body positivity, and I've started my try on series now on YouTube, where I am trying to find brands who cater to the bigger rider, to help you guys find clothes that will fit and make you feel nice, and you can visually see how they look on a curvier model. And basically we just wanted to come on here because we just got talking to each other and had a bit of a rant about the issues within the industry, and we thought, why not just turn it into a video and try and, you know, get brands to hopefully pay attention and have a listen to all of these comments that we've had. So if you are out there and you're sat there thinking, oh, I can't get clothes to fit me, you are not alone. There are plenty of people out there. Not alone. Yeah. Not alone. We had so many comments, and a lot of them were kind of the same things of the topics that we've discussed. So these are issues that a lot of people struggle with, and it's not necessarily because they're plus size, it may be because they're bustier, because they've got wider hips, they've got naturally more muscular calves, or whatever it is. You were born with the shape that you've got. You cannot change your shape unless you want to go through some life-changing surgery, I suppose. Whatever makes you happy. I don't think anyone should feel excluded. We're all here at the end of the day because we love horses and we want to look and feel good. If we don't look and feel good, it will transfer to the horses when we ride. So yeah, I would love to see more brands just taking these little pointers into consideration. And I think the people who are commenting perhaps are a little bit self-conscious and they may not want to air their concerns, perhaps because they think they're alone, perhaps because they're, they don't feel comfortable expressing those issues. So we've done it for you.
Yeah,
we're quite happy
we put our heads over the parapet.
Yes.
Into the scary equestrian larger size topic world.
I hope this has been useful for you guys and that you've enjoyed hearing us discuss these topics. Anything that you would like to see me do in the future, yeah, just leave a comment down below. I highly recommend that you do check out the Wide Boot Company. Have a chat with Bex if you're having trouble fitting boots and things, because you are so easy to talk to about that kind of thing and very, very, very helpful. So highly recommend you do that.
Thank you. I just think everyone should accept how they are, and hopefully some of these companies will start to step up a bit and address some of these issues.
Well,
and if not, I will.
Yes, Bex. Yeah, no, I think obviously companies, they're not going to be able to change if they don't know there's a need for it. So hopefully by discussing this, we've started that topic of conversation now and hopefully got the ball rolling, and we might see a change in the clothing industry. Fingers crossed. Fingers, toes, hooves, everything's crossed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining me on my channel and having this discussion with me. I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's been quite a giggle, a bit of a rant at times. It's so frustrating. It does get your goat. So, yeah.
And it's been nice to have your point of view from the manufacturing side of things as well, so that we can get a really good idea of why perhaps companies aren't, taking these things into account or whatever. But hopefully, like we've said, if more companies do take this on board, then perhaps the molds will already be there for future companies, future startups to take lead and do the same thing.
Hopefully. Brilliant. Well, thanks for having me. It's been it's been good.
It's a pleasure.
I'm going to sign off, so speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. Bye. Okay, you guys, there you have it. That was my little chat with Bex, just talking about the things that you guys are struggling with, things that we personally struggle with, issues that we feel are present currently within the equestrian clothing industry. It would mean a lot to us if you could like and comment and share this video to try and raise awareness, really get some companies hopefully on board with just being a little bit more inclusive, or even just a bit more thoughtful when it comes to designing shapes of clothes. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it. Please keep the comment section kind, because that's what I'm all about. Yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this. I am actually thinking of turning this kind of into a series, so if you guys do enjoy it, do let me know, and let me know if there are any other kind of topics you would like me to talk about, because I'm sure I could find some people to have a little chin wag about it all. Please do smash a huge thumbs up if you did enjoy it, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads. And until the next one, guys, I will see you later. Bye!